We have done a couple of these. This is binary, it's not really multi-level, but we've done a couple of these and it's just this is completely different. It's a completely different product. It's one of a kind. So our first, I guess, our entrance into this, speaking to people, not only because, I have a rather large audience, but we didn't dive in. And I know you guys know that. We went line by line and precept by precept, and we put a little bit out there and we just did a little bit we had to here and there. And it was very planned. It wasn't haphazard. We knew what we were doing. We would talk to you guys and say, I don't know if we're ready yet. And your graciousness was like, you'll know. You'll know when God moves, you'll know. And needless to say, when the cruise came up, it could have been anywhere. I knew I missed that trip last time by a little bit because we came in too late. That wasn't going to happen again. So money's great and everything, but we do this mostly for a fundraiser. So the cruise is a little different for us. So what I realized doing this for the past, probably we've been doing this since I think February now, is that there's no people, we cannot have an apology in our tone. You cannot have a tone. See, I have my mindset. We either live with a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. And God wants us to be the head and not the tail. So you've got to live with a growth mindset, knowing that if you do, um, there will be no apologies in your tone. What do I mean by that? When we approach people or we speak to people, we've only done it once on my Wednesday show off the cuff. That's all we've done it. What happened was it was something that because people trust us, we don't run after everything. We don't just the next, bright little star, we're now there and we've got this to sell and that to sell. And we don't do that. So when we came out with this right before the cruise, we were starting to build for the cruise, there was no apologies on our tone. We really believe that the world needs to be patched. We really believe that. Our lives have changed. I've seen people get up out of bed in recliners for 10 years. She testified on our show, 10 years in a recliner, not be unable to move. And now she's traveling the world. She's in Colombia. And her business has taken off. Her marriage now is back on track. So for me, that's the first thing. No apologies in your tone. But I found that see, people can make excuses for not wanting to hear you. They can point at you and say, well, I don't believe that, or I don't believe that. But the one thing they cannot say is your experience. They cannot argue with your experience because it's yours. You own it. And then when people say to me, you look like a different person, and I do, it's hard to argue with that. And as an influencer, we share from our own experience everything we do. I try to bring people truth, and sometimes they like it and sometimes they don't. But there's one truth that is true, whether you are right, left, in between, you're Catholic, Protestant, it doesn't matter what it is that LifeWave patches are life changing. So you guys know, we just got our water machine and we just ran it through the stuff and Dennis was just working on that. And we're very excited about that because there is a lot of rumor out there about what is going to come forward as far as health. We worked closely with Prophet Kim Clement, and he was a very dear friend since 1993. And I fell in love with Mena because she has his accent. And so when he said those things, there will be health breakthroughs. There will be, when we touch this and we put it on and we felt what was happening, we knew this was one of the things he was talking about. We live in a world full of fakes. Everybody's fake. I don't know. Is that me? Do I have a bad view of the world? Um, and I don't know who to trust sometimes. I question. The only one I don't question is God. And and so we live in a world full of fakes. And this is what I loved when we were at the Next Level event in Orlando. And I'll never forget it. And I say it all the time. David Schmidt was speaking, and he was there with us. And he said, someone said to him, well, we know LifeWave patches come out of San Diego. They're sent to us from there. But where are they made? And he said, no one knows except me and the president of my company. He said, I don't even know if my wife knows. And I chuckled, and I know why he said that. Because you see, when you're in another company, and we've been in them, the next new bright, shiny toy comes out, and then it's this supplement is better than this one. And this product is better than this product. There is no this better than that because that's all there is this. And that's the biggest thing. Now, for us, how did we do this? I keep lists and lists and lists. Now I do it, I write it out. I'm not a digital, Trello and all these things. I just am not. And it's not who I am. You have to work with who you are. You can't try to be something you're not. So I write down all the people when I contact them. And there's two words that got us to the Bahamas. Follow up. Those are the two most important words I believe in our business. I follow up upon follow up upon follow up. Because see, there's no apologies. I'm not saying to them, oh, I'm sorry, I'm bothering you again. No, you should send me flowers. I am doing the best thing for you that anyone could have ever done for you. That's how I feel about the people that got, gave it to us, gave it to my husband actually. And I just, I think if we realize that we can tap into our own creativity. I post on social media. I try to be as part of much social media as I can, whether it's X account, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Facebook is really good for this. So what I do is I maybe once a month on my personal, and then we have a ministry page. And so I'll post on there, and it's very different. Now I'm going to start posting before and afters. I haven't done that yet. So that's the newest thing. So you have to keep track, write it down, write the name down, and what you sent them. If you go on YouTube, there are a million incredible little sound bites of David Schmidt that I send to people, I email to people. I know I contacted you a couple weeks ago, but I just saw this and I couldn't wait to get this over to you. No apologies, and send it. It might, they're advertising, so I don't know, if you watch TV, you see get hit again and again and again. You see the same ad again and again and again. Sometimes it takes 20 times of seeing the same thing to have that person say, oh, I'm going to look into this. It's the same thing with what we do. And this is what I know. If we put our mind to it and give ourselves a break, okay? What I mean by that is don't 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 get down on yourself. If you hear 25 no's, that's okay. The next 25 can be yeses. And I know everybody says that, but you know what? It's true. And that no is going to turn into a maybe one of these days. And when it does, it'll turn into a yes. I don't, unless someone says to me, and no one has ever done it, unless someone says to me, please don't contact me again about this, I continue to contact them. Follow up, follow up, follow up. That is the biggest reason why we still, and look, we hit, it was probably after 2 weeks we ended up getting the cruise, and we're still going because we've got a momentum now, and we're not going to stop. Just tonight we have a meeting, a Zoom meeting, and I just went back to the first people way back in like February or March, and I invited them all again to tonight. I said, new information. You don't want to miss this. No apologies.